In a very few words, if there is one revolution we could say was run by women, it is the Haitian Revolution. When you take into consideration, and this is not an exaggeration, Toussaint Louverture, who's a main person, main initiator of all of this, most French official who wrote about him continuously said he fought like a woman. But of course he never said why. The reason is very simple. He was taught to fight by women from Dahomey. That's who trained Toussaint on his fighting skills. Jean-Jacques Dessalines was raised by his aunt Toya, an Amazon from Dahomey, who from the time he was a tiny little boy, his aunt continuously told him, "You must do for this land what I could not do for Dahomey." So the two main people in the revolution of Haiti, trained by women militarily. Besides this, from Toussaint Louverture himself, letters that he wrote, he said every troop was made of 1/3 women. 1/3 of every troop was 1/3 of every battalion, if we could say, was made of women. And there was a large percentage of children also. And Toussaint Louverture still explained, as they would go into attack, the first people to enter the battlefield had to be the women. Because they were more flexible, they would crawl on the ground through the bushes and come very close to the enemy. And then they would start making this very special noise they know how to make with their mouth that would sort of confuse the enemy camp. And it was also the women's job to go to the enemy and remove the cannon. You know, in those days, the cannon was it was a very important instrument. As long as the enemy had cannon and you didn't have, you cannot approach the enemy. It was the women and children's job to go to the enemy's camp, render the cannon unusable. And I tell you, sometimes a mother would take her child and throw it in the cannon's mouth, or throw herself in the cannon. When you're talking about slaves who would throw themselves inside the cannon's mouth to make it unoperative, these were women doing this. And once one of us would throw ourselves in and make it inoperative, then the French would not bother with it anymore. Then the others would come in and push it out the way and carry it to our camp. That was the women's job. So without any question, the role of women in the Haitian Revolution is not measurable. Besides, this is a general, we have women like Marie-Jeanne, who was in charge of security. Who gave Jean-Jacques Dessalines security? Marie-Jeanne and her band. She had a troop of female only. And Dessalines said himself, "I never feel as secure as when Marie-Jeanne herself is assuring my security." Marie-Jeanne. Women officers in the army, Lieutenant Pierrette Jolibois, Lieutenant Sanit Belair, Captain Guillaume Charlot, lots of women. So there was that whole period, revolutionary period, up until Dessalines' death, even into Christophe's rule, women run all kinds of things. The first woman minister of treasure, the first person minister of treasure in Haiti, in free Haiti, was a woman, Afemi Dagui. The minister for finance was a woman. The Dessalines government had a lot of women, and Christophe's government had women. It's after Christophe, with the first mulatto who became president, Pétion, that things turn around. He passed a decree saying that it is forbidden to ask of women, to give to women tasks that make too much demand on their mental and physical capacities. So therefore, from this point on, women are not allowed in a public function, Okay? So there's no question about the role of women in Haiti's war.